we heard the discussion, right, about Tucker Carlson. I know you guys been waiting for this one. Tucker is being lambasted because he has decided that he is gonna go to Russia and to interview Vladimir Putin. First of all, let's watch this video.
NSA broke into my Signal account, which I didn't know they could do.
How do you know the NSA broke into your Signal?
Because they admitted it. I got a call from somebody in Washington. This person said, you know, you're going to come to Washington anytime soon. Yeah, actually, I'm going to be up in a week. Meet me Sunday morning. So I go, and this person's like, are you planning a trip to go see Putin? And I was like, how would you know that? I haven't told anybody. I mean, anybody. Not my brother, not my wife, nobody. How would you know that? Because NSA pulled your text with this other person you were texting. How did you know that? NSA broke into my Signal account.
That's some scary stuff, though, when you think about it.
Well, you gotta thank the Patriot Act for that one.
Yeah. In the name of keeping us safe, you done lost your privacy. So here is a video of Tucker in Russia right now, and we have a few videos to get into, and I want to get your thought and perspective too.
My name is Alexei. I like you. You're the best American journalist.
Thank you. Where are you
What?
from?
I'm from Moscow.
I love
Я люблю этот город, он красивый.
Thank you. It's really yes. What do you do in Russia?
I just wanted to see.
Хотел на нее посмотреть. Я так много читал о ней. Я хотел поговорить с людьми и посмотреть на то, как все устроено.
So I wanted to talk to people and look around and see how it was doing. And it's doing very well.
I think maybe interview Putin. Why you're visiting Moscow? American media.
I don't know.
Я не знаю. Они сумасшедшие. Реально сумасшедшие.
Yeah, crazy.
It's crazy. Really crazy.
So, Darth Vader, share your thought with me. Do you think this is the right move for Tucker? Do you agree and disagree with it?
I think it's risky for him. And he's going out on a limb here, especially being independent now without the backing of,
Got you.
someone. But I mean,
Yeah.
if he could get that interview, I mean, it would be great.
Yeah. But I want you to notice how the mainstream media is already reacting. Tucker does speak back, by the way. And I did go to Ladder and Crowder, so I have something to share with them. They've actually shown that it's actually a very common practice for journalists to speak to dictators and so on, just to get their perspective on things. It's not like a bad thing. It's just it goes to show the legacy media is trying to control every single thing. But Tucker is not owned by them. They've already released the monster. The beast is wild right now. because
And they don't like it.
They don't like what they've done, but hey, it is what it is. You guys created a Tucker Carlson because you hate the truth so much. Anyway, you got this.
Set. A massive shakeup in Kyiv coming as Putin is trying to court the MAGA GOP in the United States. In fact, one of the leaders of the MAGA GOP is in Moscow tonight. It's the man you see here with the MAGA leader, Donald Trump, Tucker Carlson, possibly there in Moscow to interview Putin. Definitely there as a Putin supporting celebrity. Just listen to how Russian state media is breathlessly celebrating his visit.
Independent journalist Tucker Carlson has flown to Russia from the U.S. via Turkey to Vnukovo Airport. He saw Spartacus Ballet at the Bolshoi Theater, had lunch in a nice restaurant, went for a ride around town, rode the subway. He charged his smartphone via USB port and connected to a fast and free Wi-Fi internet.
He charged his phone, although they're knowing the details about the fact that it was during USB port may give him reason to think twice about all of this. But look at them talking about him like a celebrity. Everything he does on camera, breathlessly repeated. Now, it is unclear if an interview between Putin and Carlson will take place, but if it does, it gives Putin a chance to sit down with a big supporter.
It might be worth asking yourself, since it is getting pretty serious, what is this really about? Why do I hate Putin so much? Has Putin ever called me a racist? Has he threatened to get me fired for disagreeing with him? Does he eat dogs? These are fair questions, and the answer to all of them is no. Vladimir Putin didn't do any of that.
I'll actually always remember watching that clip. I was standing in Ukraine 48 hours before the war began there. Well, Carlson then stood by Putin consistently all the way through. And that is why he can go to Moscow now without any fear of being summarily imprisoned. He's a hero. This was Putin's mouthpiece in the United States, somebody who had turned a blind eye to the atrocities committed by Putin because they were happening far away. Once vibrant towns turned to ruins, mass graves with dozens of bodies in the Kyiv suburbs, a theater full of innocent women and children sheltering, bombed, despite the giant world children written on the roof, more than 200,000 Ukrainian soldiers killed or injured. And tonight, Putin is trying to seize on the fact that Zelensky's military appears to be in turmoil, capitalizing on a moment of intense American political dysfunction and intensifying.
This is the problem with the legacy media, man. They insert their emotions in everything instead of considering the facts for what they are. It's pathetic because that's not what he said at all. And this constant calling Tucker mega GOP is kind of like not necessarily the case because he's not even, he does support Donald Trump now, but before he wasn't even a Trumper at all. But look how much shade and garbage is said about the man without considering the fact that it's a very common thing for journalists to actually do this.
I've seen plenty of his episodes where he's taken shots at Trump.
Yeah, he has done that in the past. But anyway, he does have an answer, by the way. But let me go to my boys here because they went crazy with it. Anyway, let's play this.
Yeah, they went ham on it. I remember this.
Yeah, I had to watch it because it was that good of a substance.
I think most of them are fine, by the way, but he doesn't come across to me as a shill for anybody. Like he's just going to be like, oh, Vladimir Putin, everything's great in Russia.
Right.
It's fantastic. It seems like he's going to go over there and ask some maybe difficult questions, but it's probably not going to push too much. He's in Russia. He doesn't want to end up in prison for a vape pen.
You kind of lose your leverage when you're in the country of an
It's true. You need to let them come to a neutral country.
Yeah. Yes. That's like the Swiss publication.
Yeah.
So let's go through this again, the applying the double standard, because interviews with actual dictators, not that Putin is a dictator, right? And I understand he has proxies and and then he kind of stepped back and we had someone who was another president for a period of time and that was cute. So actual dictators where you're talking about completely unfettered and people who are actually enemies to the United States. This has happened a lot and all references are available at loudwithcreditor.com. So the Ayatollah Khomeini was interviewed in 1979 by Mike Wallace. Hey, remember Castro?
Yeah, that guy.
Remember Fidel Castro? I remember socialist, communist, revolutionary, followed in the footsteps of Che Guevara, who killed black people and gays and executed them without trial.
And destroyed a beautiful island 90 miles south of Florida.
And bragged about it in front of the UN so that you could put it on a Rage Against the Machine t-shirt while the lead singer supports Barack Obama.
They are the machine.
That's insane.
So Castro was interviewed in 1959, CBS Face the Nation. 1977, Barbara Walters on ABC. 1993 by Diane Sawyer. You know who else was interviewed? By John Miller of ABC in 1998. Talk about platforming. Osama bin Laden. That one's kind of a biggie. I know what you'll say. Hey, hold on a second. We weren't officially at war with Osama bin Laden in 1998. Well, we're not at war with Russia either. Just to be clear.
Yeah.
Bro.
I'd like all involvement to be gone, but we're not involved.
Wasn't he on the most wanted list, I think?
I believe he was on the most wanted list because at that point...
Either that or he's climbing the charts. One of the two. He's either there or he's number one.
Most wanted for interviews? Who's taking calls?
Someone got a nice scoop. Muammar Gaddafi or Brown Jeffrey Ross, if you see a picture.
Yes.
Can you guys bring up side by side Gaddafi, Jeffrey Ross?
Oh my God. You mean when he traveled here to New York, he stayed in a tent?
Right.
Rented a house to stay in a tent?
And by the way, that was in 2009 by Larry King.
Yeah.
Why did no one ever come down on Larry King? This not only did he interview Gaddafi, he was ill prepared. He's like, so Gaddafi, French.
Why do you look white?
Yes. You look like a friend I had, Jeffrey Ross.
Those
Heard of him?
Natural curls? He's the Roastmaster General.
Roastmaster. Gets a little bit edgy, but I find him funny.
He's a Jew like me. Oh.
What do you eat for breakfast? What? So
Sorry.
then you have al-Assad. Let's just say al-Assad. And no one's on a first name basis. Bill Neely in 2016, NBC.
Oh.
Just to be clear. And then there was this gem of an interview also with al-Assad. I guess if you're going to comment below, who's the most useless journalist who you can think of in the last 20 years or 30 years? Would it be Barbara Walters?
Yeah.
Would it be the lady who turned journalism into inconsequential bullshit with if you could be a tree, what kind of tree would you be? Barbara Walters, who can't even speak the language without a speech impediment? Or would it be wheel him out because he doesn't even know where he is and he should have retired a long time ago, but he's clinging to his power, Larry King?
Yeah.
I don't know which one, but this was the standard of journalism. I'm sorry. These were the carryovers from the golden era. And I've been asking this, if there was a golden age of journalism, please tell me when. I don't buy it. I just think you didn't know about it. Here's the gem with Barbara Walters and al-Assad in 2012, I believe.
We were free to ask any questions. Bashar al-Assad is a dictator by accident, a mild-mannered ophthalmologist. He studied medicine in England and found himself thrust into the role of being Syria's leader after the deaths of his dictator father and older brother. He insisted to me that he has the support of much of his country, but not many others believe that.
Well, let me, Barbara, can I do you a favor, sweetheart? Let me correct something real quick. I know that's patronizing. I meant to be. He's not a dictator by accident. He's the leader of the country by accident. The dictator part was a choice.
Yeah.
He could have gone in and been the leader of the country by accident. People got killed before him. Now he's thrust into a position of power. He could have chosen to not be a dictator.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this goes to show what we were talking about. This is a common thing for journalists to actually do that.
Not to mention the fact that what happened to his older brother and father that led him into that position.
Yeah, even though it's still a choice, but there were some stuff behind the scene too.
Just asking the question.
That's all.
That's all.
Tucker is responding to the legacy media. This video came out last night, and I was like, "Oh, spot on." He is speaking out. So the interview is going to happen. He did say he's going to have it. Putin is willing to be interviewed by him. But look how he puts it together. I was like, "Oh, this is spot on." I love this.
We're in Moscow tonight. We're here to interview the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin. We'll be doing that soon. There are risks to conducting an interview like this, obviously. So we thought about it carefully over many months. Here's why we're doing it. First, because it's our job. We're in journalism. Our duty is to inform people. 2 years into a war that's reshaping the entire world, most Americans are not informed. They have no real idea what's happening in this region, here in Russia or 600 miles away in Ukraine. But they should know. They're paying for much of it in ways they might not fully yet perceive. The war in Ukraine is a human disaster. It's left hundreds of thousands of people dead, an entire generation of young Ukrainians, and it's depopulated the largest country in Europe. But the long-term effects are even more profound. This war has utterly reshaped the global military and trade alliances, and the sanctions that followed have as well. And in total, they have upended the world economy. The post-World War II economic order, the system that guaranteed prosperity in the West for more than 80 years, is coming apart very fast, and along with it, the dominance of the US dollar. These are not small changes. They are history-altering developments. They will define the lives of our grandchildren. Most of the world understands this perfectly well. They can see it. Ask anyone in Asia or the Middle East what the future looks like. And yet the populations of the English-speaking countries seem mostly unaware. They think that as nothing has really changed. And they think that because no one has told them the truth. Their media outlets are corrupt. They lie to their readers and viewers. And they do that mostly by omission. For example, since the day the war in Ukraine began, American media outlets have spoken to scores of people from Ukraine, and they have done scores of interviews with Ukrainian President Zelensky. We ourselves have put in a request for an interview with Zelensky, and we hope he accepts. But the interviews he's already done in the United States are not traditional interviews. They are fawning pep sessions specifically designed to amplify Zelensky's demand that the U.S. enter more deeply into a war in Eastern Europe and pay for it. That is not journalism. It is government propaganda. Propaganda of the ugliest kind, the kind that kills people. At the same time, our politicians and media outlets have been doing this, promoting a foreign leader like he's a new consumer brand. Not a single Western journalist has bothered to interview the president of the other country involved in this conflict, Vladimir Putin. Most Americans have no idea why Putin invaded Ukraine or what his goals are now. They've never heard his voice. That's wrong. Americans have a right to know all they can about a war they're implicated in, and we have the right to tell them about it because we are Americans too. Freedom of speech is our birthright. We were born with the right to say what we believe. That right cannot be taken away no matter who is in the White House. But they're trying anyway. Almost 3 years ago, the Biden administration illegally spied on our text messages and then leaked the contents to their servants in the news media. They did this in order to stop a Putin interview that we were planning. Last month, we're pretty certain they did exactly the same thing once again. But this time, we came to Moscow anyway. We are not here because we love Vladimir Putin. We are here because we love the United States, and we want it to remain prosperous and free. We paid for this trip ourselves. We took no money from any government or group, nor are we charging people to see the interview. It is not behind a paywall. Anyone can watch the entire thing, shot live to tape and unedited, on our website, tuckercarlson.com. Elon Musk, to his great credit, has promised not to suppress or block this interview once we post it on his platform, X, and we're grateful for that. Western governments, by contrast, will certainly do their best to censor this video on other less principled platforms because that's what they do. They are afraid of information they can't control. But you have no reason to be afraid of it. We are not encouraging you to agree with what Putin may say in this interview, but we are urging you to watch it. You should know as much as you can. And then, like a free citizen and not a slave, you can decide for yourself. Thanks.
Makes sense to me. Makes a whole lot of sense to me.
I mean, that's powerful. I mean, he's doing what most interviewers and most journalists these days wouldn't dare possibly do.
Yeah.
You know, he's actually risking his neck right now.
Yeah. When he compared Zelensky to Putin, it shows that if the West is interviewing Zelensky and overlooking and not interviewing Putin, it goes to show there is an imbalance here. There is
bias.
Yeah, there's a lot of biasness, and I'm picking and choosing who I like and dislike. And that's not what journalists should do. They should hear both perspectives and combine the two different perspectives, because a lot of what we are being told about Zelensky and Ukraine was not true. There's a lot of stuff they said that I'm not realizing. Oh wow, we've been lied to. So I think if we had heard what Putin is thinking from the very beginning, I think some of this stuff would not even have happened. At least some of these lies would not have been lost. I think there could have been a change right away. So the misinformation coming from the media is deadly. And they like to say we are the one promoting misinformation. It's like you're withholding information from people and they are making decisions that have dire consequences. So I think Tucker Carlson is doing the right thing.
I mean, just personally, I just don't think we should be involved in proxy wars, period.
No, I don't think so.
That's just me. And that's part of the issue I take with the whole border bill that they put up. You know, it's something Steven Crowder covered in one of his last
same one
things, is how he actually broke down what's in the border bill.
Like, nothing to protect the border, to be honest.
Actually, out of the $180 billion that they're asking for the border bill, 20 billion goes to the border. That's it.
Yeah.
The majority of it is funding for Ukraine.
That's crazy. Yeah. Mayorkas still has so much power in that bill. Actually, he has more power now to determine whether or not so-and-so can come when it's time to close the border, when these numbers are, like, who will ever know when these numbers are at the point they need to be? So it really works in favor of the Democrats. I hope the Republicans have enough common sense to say, we are not going to give up on this one, push back against it, do like what Texas is doing. just stand against it because it's not in favor of the American people at all. If anything, it's gonna help the illegals to get more than what they're getting now.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and there's plenty of other ways we can go about, doing this. I mean, 5,000 people a day, that's a lot of freaking people.
that's a lot. When you add that in a year, you're looking at a couple mil. Oh my Lord. Easy.
Or at least close to it.
Yeah. Wow. That is ridiculous. Yeah. At least six to something. 700,000 people easily.
I think it's like let me do some math here real quick.
Yeah, while you're doing that, let me share with you. Guys, it's important that we know what we know. We believe what we believe, and we are informed. I think it's very significant. And what Tucker Carlson is doing here is good. The scripture says, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. If you were to take that which is spiritual and apply it here, a lot of time we are making decisions, we're allowing policies to go on, and these people that are in office are kind of like drawing bills together and making decisions on our behalf, and we paying the taxes for it. I have so much less money in my pocket because of this. Because you have rejected knowledge, the Bible says, and I will also reject thee, and thou shalt be no priest to me. Seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy God, I will also forget thy children. So from a spiritual perspective, it's very dangerous to reject knowledge. Very dangerous. And I think even if you were to look at this from a political perspective too, and I think by them withholding the truth from us, to not telling us the other side of the story, we actually get destroyed. We actually get manipulated. We get used and abused by the system, and it's not a safe thing at all. So this is why I really respect what Tucker Carlson is doing here. He's putting himself on the line. He's putting his life on the line, go in this direction and do that. But I think that interview is going to blow the internet wide open. I can see the Western media is going to have a serious meltdown, because I think there's a lot of stuff they've been pushing that's going to be exposed by the interview. For real, what's been in the minds of Vladimir Putin this whole time. So yeah.
And he's not going to hold back on his questions either.
No, he doesn't.
He's actually going to ask the hard questions.
Yeah.
And just for perspective, 5,000 a day times 365 days a year is 1.825 million people a year.
That's crazy. Woo! A day. Oh, snap. I was thinking. Why would you?
5,000 a day.
That is wild. That is extremely wild. No, why would any Republicans vote for stuff like this? Unless you benefit from it, the rhinos. But,
and that's just it. The Republicans aren't going for it. And that's why the Democrats are saying, oh, well, the Republicans are holding it up. They're holding it up. Blah, 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 blah. Well, no kidding. They're holding it up. They're holding it up for good reason. It's a bad bill.
It's a bad bill. And they like to say this is the best bullet policy that we have. No, it's not. It's the worst. And you're making it look like we are the bad ones. No, you've been allowing the borders to be flooded with people who have not come through the country legally. You've been allowing that to happen. And this is why we had an issue in New York with cops getting beaten down by these people. It's not only that, by the way, there's a whole lot more happening. They are using mopeds and they are robbing people and pulling people's purses and stuff. When you bring young people like this, young men, military-age men, you put them in this country, you don't provide, even though you're providing for their means, but they're not working. When a person is not working, at least some of them are working for cheap, it goes to show that this whole asylum claim was a lie. And the other thing is, you're putting at risk the life of American people, because these people, when they are desperate, they're going to make bad decisions. How many of them were already gangsters and gang members? How many of them were already acting up in their country? And you brought them here without considering all of these factors. So what do you think is going to happen to your country?
Believe it or not, my daughter's husband came up with a stat the other day. He was looking up, the types of people coming across the border and stuff, and he found a stat the other day that showed the number of people coming over the border are military-age men, mostly from China.
Wow.
What does that tell you?
We are being invaded. That's gonna have.
Slowly but surely, that's gonna have serious repercussions.
Oh yeah, it won't be long. It won't be long. This is why I stand with Tucker. I think Tucker is a gift from God.